relaunching of our Confucius Institute at Angeles University Foundation. During that time, we had Ambassador Huang Xilian and the counselors of the Chinese Embassy. This is one of the highlights of the event. It is actually a photo exhibition highlighting the achievements of the Philippine-China cooperation.
And 300 Filipino teachers undergo training on teaching Mandarin. I cannot see the date here.
I think it is December 2019, sir.
So memoryado mo, before the COVID-19 ito.
Yes, sir. This is actually a memorandum of agreement between the Philippine Department of Education and the China's Ministry of Education through the Center for Language Education and Cooperation. So the aim of the program is to actually train Filipino teachers to teach Chinese Mandarin, because our setup right now is we keep on importing Chinese teachers, even with the Chinese schools. We import Chinese teachers to teach Chinese Mandarin in the Philippines. The problem is we need to have a sustainable development.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat at sa inyong lahat siyempre all over the world and our Philippine Islands, mga kabansa po nating Pilipino and our foreign friends. Welcome to our June 3rd, 2022 episode ng ating Opinyon sa Golden Nation Network. And well, these past weeks have been very special until through the next week up to January 10, because it's a period where we have been introducing the honored laureates to the award for promoting Philippine-China Understanding, APPCU. Yan po sa pamagat po natin. And we have featured si Ginoong Celso Cainglet from Iloilo, a professor at the University of the Philippines, Visayas. We have featured several others, and we are featuring another one of our old friends who has been promoting Philippine understanding over the decade. He's very young, that's why decade lang. Hindi pa decades. Kami decades na ni Kaado, being a pioneer and a champion of teaching Mandarin to our Filipino students. I'm speaking of none other than Cavin Pamintuan here to my left. Say hello muna, Cavin.
早上好, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and to all our friends all over the world.
Okay, 早上好. Good morning.
Good morning. 早上好, that is good morning in Chinese
What's
Mandarin.
your Chinese name now?
It's still the same. My Chinese name is Pei Gang.
2 characters lang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bakit yung iba tatlo? Like me, Zhang Xiangwan.
Well, sir, usually, sir, for us Filipino students or Filipino learners during our time, they actually base the Chinese name on your English name, the pronunciation.
Okay, your name again in Mandarin?
Pei Gang. Pei Gang.
K?
Pei. Pei.
Anong Pei? Anong Kang? The characters.
The Pei is more on masculinity.
Okay.
And Gang is same, sir. It's more manhood.
Okay. Talagang macho.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, yan naman ang dating mo rin. Aside from your Mandarin, you're very macho ang dating. Ikaw may Chinese name ka rin, di ba? O binigyan ka? You don't remember it?
It doesn't come naturally.
Well, anyway, ito po ang ating ang hinanda ng APPCU Awards na poster, I think it's called, no? Let's show the first image. Kinakalat po sa internet and sa mga pahayagan. I don't know if you've been featured, but all the laureates are being featured in the Manila Times. Lumabas ka na ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think it was May 25 issue po ng Manila Times.
Okay. You know, Cavin has been with us several times before, interviewed here on our show in the various transformations of GNN. Kasi dati, Global News Network ito. Ngayon, Golden Nation Network. And I think we're ready to show a very, very short clip of one of our interviews and discussions about the Confucius Institute, Tingnan natin nga, ready ba dyan ang ating short video clip? Give us a brief background of the Confucius Institute and in the Angeles University.
Okay, Confucius Institute at Angeles University Foundation. It is a institute which is in line, or which goal is to promote Chinese culture and Chinese language in the mainstream society of the Philippines. So it is the Confucius Institute that is assigned, or which has a project in developing students to become local Mandarin teachers, and later on to be a part of the Department of Education.
Ayun, very, very short clip, 33 seconds lang yun. And the ladies danced, ano?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They were Filipinas.
One of them is actually our student, and the two were actually our Chinese volunteer teachers.
Teachers.
Yeah,
that was 2017.
2017,
you said, no?
yes, sir.
Kevin recalled the year, no? And I think, I also recalled or retrieved one of the news that we posted and we discussed here some time ago. Let's see that poster. Pinoy teachers learning Mandarin. So this program, you can help us understand, no? I think some of our government teachers in the public schools are learning Mandarin.
Yes.
And we'll discuss the merits of such programs. Are you ready with the image? So makikita natin, that's the first image that I wanted to present. Ngayon lang po na ilabas. Si Cavin po yan. This is the
recent event. This is the relaunching of our Confucius Institute at Angeles University Foundation. During that time, we had Ambassador Huang Xilian and the counselors of the Chinese Embassy. This is one of the highlights of the event. It is actually a photo exhibition highlighting the achievements of the Philippine-China cooperation.
And 300 Filipino teachers undergo training on teaching Mandarin. I cannot see the date here.
I think it is December 2019, sir.
So memoryado mo, before the COVID-19 ito.
Yes, sir. This is actually a memorandum of agreement between the Philippine Department of Education and the China's Ministry of Education through the Center for Language Education and Cooperation. So the aim of the program is to actually train Filipino teachers to teach Chinese Mandarin, because our setup right now is we keep on importing Chinese teachers. Even with the Chinese schools, we import Chinese teachers to teach Chinese Mandarin in the Philippines. The problem is we need to have a sustainable development. And the only way for us to sustain the program is for us to train our own teacher. Right now, it's pandemic. It's already 2 years, travel ban, restrictions. We were not able to import Chinese volunteer teachers. But still, the program is ongoing because we are ready. Because 10 years ago, we already started training deaf ed teachers to teach Chinese Mandarin. And as of 2022, we have 396 Filipino teachers who were trained to teach Chinese Mandarin from 9 regions of the Philippines. We are actually catering 12,000 Filipino students every year to learn Chinese Mandarin. So this is important, Mentong and Kaando, because it is through education that we give our students a new perspective to view China. We should not be limited on what we see to different media outlets. For the past years, bad news, negative notions have been dominating the media outlets in the Philippines. And, let's face the fact that sometimes media will really not give you the correct perspective. They will give you the perspective depending on their agenda and depending on their biases.
You mean most of the time?
Oh, yeah, most of the time. Sorry, I stand corrected. So most of the time.
You omitted one very important, depending on who finances them.
That's it.
Depending on who's taking the media. So what is good about education? We just let our students to learn the language, to learn the culture, to understand more China, and of course, later on, to build, trust, to build mutual understanding. And later on, this is actually to support the priority of the Belt and Road Initiative. which is the people-to-people connectivity. Kasi, countries, between two countries, they have been negotiating, they've been keep on doing partnership, but the ultimate goal is to bring the people of our two countries together, closer.
So what is the total number again of the students?
Every year, sir, under the Department of Education, we have 12,000 students
Oh my God,
learning the language.
we should accelerate this under
President BBM.
and especially
Under
the
Sara Duterte as
Secretary
Education
Duterte.
Secretary.
No?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
but of course, very impressive, 12,000 a year.
Mabigat yan.
Pero alam nyo, I remember in the year 2001, China announced, we will graduate 1 million English-speaking students every year. Kaya ang dami ng halos lahat, except sa rural areas. But even the rural areas, I visited one, perfect English yung mga nasa eskwelahan. Di ba? I don't know, when was the last time you traveled? 2 years tayo hindi nakatravel sa China.
2019, sir. I think in December 2019. So, yeah, that is a good initiative, sir, because for them kasi, they will start actually from the education sector.
Yeah.
So, if you really want to contribute to, nation building, you should start from the education
That's
sector.
right, yeah.
And we are very happy that Vice President-elect Sara Duterte will be the coming Deputy Secretary.
Why? Any particular reason why?
It is because during the time of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the Fujian Normal University in China built one building, sir. It is Soledad Duterte College.
Yeah.
It is actually...
Nagre-reserve lang ako ng isang upuan at least para sa apo ko.
Sir,
I
Sa
hope
China yun, di ba?
sa China, sa Fujian province.
just imagine, sir, in China, there's a one building exclusive for Filipino students who want to learn Chinese Mandarin. And I hope to bring the two of you, Mentong and Anderson. I'll bring you to Soledad College.
Malakas ito doon sa Soledad College.
It's being funded by friends, and it's free. And now we are offering undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees. Our ultimate goal is to actually maximize the opportunities being offered by China to actually improve, our education system, and of course, to train Filipino talents that would contribute, later on in making our country a better place to live in.
Well, of course, all these are intermixed with the future of the world, no? Kung anong economy ang ating kailangan na maging kaugnay na malapitan. Of course, in the 50s, we always hear the Philippines was only second to Japan in the 50s. What's the reason? The reason is we were we were on the receiving end of the trickle-down economy from the United States at that time, no? Yeah. But this is now almost 70 years past, and the world is changing. It's a reality, and without doubt already that China will dominate the next 50 to 100 years of the global economy without taking the attitude of the U.S., but rather taking the attitude of sharing, community of shared future for mankind. Positibo, hindi yung puro away, hindi puro gera ng Estados Unidos.
That is actually, so that is actually part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So previously it was One Belt, One Road Initiative, and now it is Belt and Road Initiative. So what is good about Philippines and China? Because we are part of the Asian family.
That's right.
We are in Asia, so I think the best way for us to help one another before helping other countries outside Asia, it is better for us Asian people to help one another. Especially now we have the China ASEAN, like the China is willing to help the ASEAN countries.
Because China is willing to help and wants to help and needs to help, because the richer the neighbors are, the richer China can also be. Yun ang tinatawag na win-win, di ba?
Win-win situation. That is actually the win-win situation. That is actually the shared future will only be achieved if we will have a win-win situation. A shared future cannot be achieved if you only have a one-sided, yung advantage.
Yung isang panig lang ang mananalo.
Mananalo, no?
Laging panalo, talo, panalo,
It should be a
talo.
win-win situation. That is, I agree with Mentong that it should be in a positive way na hindi puro away. So, economy will grow sooner or later because of the positive relationship. Kasi other countries would actually depend on, with negativities. But for the Philippine-China relationship, we are hopeful to have a shared future, a shared bright future.
Itay, Ilu pa ba ang tawag?
Yes, sir. Itay, Ilu.
One belt, one road.
And we are part of the 21st Maritime Silk Road. Kasi dalawa po ang Belt and Road Initiative. We have the Asian Silk Road
Asian Silk Road.
and the 21st Maritime Silk Road. And the Philippines plays a vital role in the 21st Maritime Silk
Mas
Road.
marami nang alam ito kaysa sa akin yan sa mga yan. Oo.
Yun, sir. And yun nga, with the many priorities of Belt and Road, we have policy coordination, financial integration, unimpeded trade, and the most important for us is the people-to-people connectivity.
Okay. I have two questions. We'll come back to these people to people, but I have two questions and maybe our audience is already asking them. Number one, what about the West Philippine Sea, China Sea, South China Sea issue? Ano ba ang pananaw mo given that you know so much already about what future China is offering to the region and to the Philippines? Anong reaction mo dyan?
I think, sir, we need to go back to our guiding principle, which is the win-win situation. So, in any dispute or in any misunderstanding or miscommunication between two countries, I think it is better for us to settle to an agreement in which will bring us a win-win situation. So I think I still recommend for the incoming BBM administration that we should still be engaged with bilateral dialogues which aim to further build mutual trust, mutual understanding, and mutual cooperation. The problem is, yan, ang daming dispute and ang daming so-called misunderstanding between the two countries. But our role is to magnify the achievements of the cooperation between the two countries. Because at the end of the day, what is beneficial to the people is the achievements and not the differences or the negativities or the negative notions about the Philippine and China relations.
Yeah. Another win story is the graduates that you have who become proficient in Mandarin automatically get better salaries in their job in the jobs that they apply in.
Definitely.
Please tell us more about that.
Definitely, sir. With the current demand for the Chinese bilinguals, we call them Chinese bilinguals. Those are the Filipino students who can actually speak Chinese, English, Filipino. With the language they have, they earn as much as 140,000 a month, higher than my salary. So there.
But you speak Chinese, Mandarin also.
Yes, sir.
Dapat pantay lang tayo.
So hello to my bosses po. So actually, sir, I choose to dedicate the rest of my career in promoting Chinese language education and to contribute to Philippine
Saan mga trabaho yung mga napapasukan?
We have, sir, BPOs. We have
BPOs,
BPOs. We have the Chinese enterprises in the Philippines. So we have different Chinese enterprises, big companies that are looking for Filipinos who can actually speak Chinese Mandarin, because for them to be more productive, they need to minimize the language barrier and they need to understand cultural difference, because the only way for you to communicate well is for you to have the language.
Yeah. But my logic is, because I'm already going towards 71, parang mahirap na mag-aral mag-sharpen ng Mandarin ko. Sabi ko sa sarili ko, parang Consuelo de Bobo, ang dami naman Chinese marunong mag-English. Do I still need to have really competent Mandarin?
Okay. With that, sir, it is actually different perspective. If you will see the situation from the Chinese perspective, there is no need for foreigners to speak Mandarin since Chinese people can already speak English. On the other hand, if you will look it from the Filipino perspective, it is still important for you to learn Chinese Mandarin because at the end of the day, it is not just about the language. It is about the culture that is being reflected in the language. So they may be proficient in English, but you still need to understand them kasi minsan, if you're talking to someone who is good in English without considering the context, pwede niyang isagot sa'yo, whatsoever. Eh, di ba kapag sinagutan ka ng whatsoever sa atin, medyo offended ka na. So, I think there's still a need for us to understand. Kasi in Mandarin, whatsoever is 无所谓. 无所谓, it's like, no care. Pero if you'll translate it to English, whatsoever. So, if you will understand the Chinese language, okay, he's trying to say 无所谓 and not the English term whatsoever. At least the miscommunication will be minimized and of course, they will be more productive.
Let's go to Kaado kung may question ka.
So you're mentioning about the nuances of just speaking the language because the language is really a bridge between two cultures. Ganun yun di ba?
Yes, sir. I agree po with Kaado because, you know, we are trying to view the Chinese language as a bridge. Speaking of bridge, we are very thankful of the two bridges given by us by the China, the Beyond the Bridge and the other bridge.
We are the other one.
That's instrumental.
I'm not sure they're bridges kasi ginagawang park na itong mga tulay na.
And it's actually symbolism, sir, because aside from the physical bridge, we also need a virtual bridge, okay, which is the language. We need to connect with Chinese people because they are our neighbor. Actually, not even neighbor. They would say that Filipinos, at least one drop of blood is Chinese blood.
We are family.
We are
actually,
family.
That's why in my book, that's why in my book, Mentong, naglagay ako doon. I placed a chapter on the basis of the foreign policy of China on 4 basic harmonious propositions. And one of them is win-win. Win-win. And without knowing that, and why win-win? Because sabi nga, it's lonely for the powerful at the top. Di ba? Yun yung mga interpretation which comes from basically Confucian.
I have a personal question.
Tradition.
Sorry. Ang isang nai-intrigue at na-excite ako, yung interpreting Chinese characters taken from the roots. Tulad ng love is a woman and a child, no? So, ideograms nga yan. It gives you the idea before you know any sound, no? Meron bang school, meron bang kayong department or experts who train purely on understanding the characters? You know why? It's easier for me to remember the words and the sound when I understand the history of the character.
So I think Kamento, you are more on visual intelligence. So pictographic. We have
educator talaga
we have Chinese teachers who are major in Chinese calligraphy. And they can actually help you better understand. That is true. For you to remember well a Chinese character, you need to remember the history. Kailangan alamin mo yung pinanggalingan. And that's the better way to understand.
We have 2 minutes left, no? For example, the idea, tontuwa ako dito the idea of thinking. Xiang. You have a tree, is that right? Then I sa right side. And then heart sa ilalim. You know? Talagang when you understand it, ganyan pala, tama. Nagko-contemplate ka ng puno na nararamdaman mo. But we have only 1.5 seconds, 1.5 minutes to go.
Cavin, I'll definitely take on your invitation to go to
Angeles University.
To Angeles University, and I will bring my son because my son is an English teacher in China.
Wow. So I will expect Mentong and Kaado to visit us soon in Angeles University Foundation. Mentong already seen our center
I actually
Chinese
shot several stories there already.
So, welcome po.
But it's been a long time, no?
So turuan ko kayo sa Chinese, sir. Huaning.
Huanying.
Huaning is
welcome.
Welcome. So huaning naman 来到菲律宾红私立大学孔子学院。I welcome each one of you to Angeles University Foundation
Ang bilis
Confucius Institute.
Intindihan ko pero kailangan humabol ako. Okay, last 10 seconds. What's your message sa ating bayan? There's so many more questions, but we have only 25 minutes for this segment.
To all our youth learners, to all our Filipino learners, I invite all of you to seize the opportunity given by us, by the Chinese government, by the Philippine-China relationship. Please learn Chinese Mandarin because Chinese Mandarin is the future English. 谢谢大家。
谢谢你,
谢谢大家。
Mr. Cavin, and 谢谢你们. We'll see Cavin again very soon in
Yes,
our
sir.
discussions here. Maraming salamat po. So stand by for the next segment, a post-mortem of the elections with a kakampink